Blackridge State Psychiatric Hospital had many wings, but the one no one ever wanted to work in was Wing C. It was quiet. Not the kind of quiet that brought peace, but the kind that hummed with tension. The kind of silence that pressed on your chest like a weight. That's where Amelia Rios worked. Night shift, 5 days a week, 10 years running. She was the kind of nurse that never flinched. The kind who could talk a man off a ledge with a single glance. They called her the anchor, because when patients spun into madness, she didn't move. She held the line. Amelia didn't scare easy, but even she had rules. She didn't go into room 6A alone. Not anymore. Room 6A was tucked at the very end of the hall. No name on the door. No sound from within. The patient inside had no record, no ID, no voice. They just called her Jane Doe. But Jane wasn't catatonic. She was aware, alert, watching. She never spoke, never moved unless prompted. But she drew. Every night, she'd sit cross-legged on the floor and sketch, over and over again, the same images. And that's how the story begins. Not with a scream, but with the scratching of pencil on paper, and a drawing that would change everything. Amelia noticed it on a Wednesday night. The sketch had been left face up on the bedside table in room 6A. It was a house, 2 stories, red shutters, a willow tree out front. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. She knew that house. It was her grandmother's home, the place she grew up in, the place she hadn't seen in over 20 years. It had been burned to the ground in a fire that was ruled an accident. But Amelia had never believed that. She stared at the sketch, heart pounding, her hand trembling as she tucked it into her pocket. She didn't speak about it. Not to the guards. Not to Dr. Kane, the head psychiatrist. Not even in her nightly reports. Because if she asked questions, they'd dig into her past. And some things were better left buried. Or so she thought. The next night, Amelia couldn't help herself. She lingered at room 6 as door longer than usual. Jane was sitting in the corner, knees to chest, pencil moving in tight, controlled motions. Amelia knocked once, opened the door slowly. Jane didn't look up, but her pencil paused. On the floor beside her were more drawings, dozens of them. Amelia crouched down, scanning them. A woman crying in a bathtub. A car parked under a flickering streetlight. A child hiding in a closet, hand over mouth. Amelia felt sick. Each image was a scene from her life, from her past, private memories no one could have known. She picked up the last sketch. It was her, Amelia, standing beside a grave, and in the grave, a name, Eva Rios, her sister, dead at age 17. Official cause, suicide. Amelia's fingers trembled, but Jane just kept drawing. The next morning, Amelia went to the hospital records room. Technically, she wasn't allowed, but she had clearance. She had trust. She pulled Jane Doe's file. It was nearly blank. No age, no intake records, no incident reports. Just one photograph, blurry, outdated. But something caught her eye. The date of admittance, April 3rd, 2003. Exactly 1 day after her sister died. Her blood ran cold. That wasn't coincidence. It was connection. Somehow Jane was tied to Eva. But how? She turned the photo over. A name was scribbled in faded ink. Alice. That was all. When Amelia got home that night, something was waiting in her mailbox. Plain envelope. No stamp. No return address. Inside was a single folded note. No signature. Just 2 words. Ask her. No explanation. Amelia sat on her couch for hours, holding the note in her hand. She hadn't told anyone. No one knew, except maybe Jane. The next night, Amelia entered room 6A alone. The guards didn't question her. Jane was sitting in her usual corner, sketches surrounding her like fallen leaves. Amelia stepped forward, gripping the note in one hand. "Who are you?" she asked. Silence. Amelia's voice cracked. "Why do you know about my sister?" Jane didn't look up, but she pointed to a sketch behind her. Amelia picked it up. It was a new one, a basement door, chained shut. A girl screaming behind it. Amelia dropped it, backing away. She remembered that door. She remembered the screams. But they weren't Eva's. They were hers. Amelia had always believed Eva took her own life. It was what her parents told her, what the police confirmed. But now, pieces of memory came back like shards of glass. Nights spent locked in the basement, screaming, hands over her mouth, a man's shadow in the doorway, and Eva trying to protect her. Amelia had forgotten. Her mind had buried it. Jane hadn't. But how? Who was she? And what did LS stand for? Amelia searched everywhere, old yearbooks, online forums, newspaper archives. She didn't sleep, didn't eat. She was looking for someone with the initials LS, connected to her town, her school, her sister. It didn't take long. Lena Sutter, a year older than Eva, used to hang around their house. She was quiet, kept to herself, always drawing. She disappeared in April of 2003. Same week Eva died. Same day Jane Doe was admitted. Amelia felt her stomach drop. Could Jane really be Lena? Had she witnessed something? Or worse, had it happened to her too? She returned to room 6A the next night. Jane was waiting. She placed a blank notebook and pencil in front of her. "Lena," she whispered, "please tell me what happened." Jane looked up for the first time and nodded. The drawings came in a flood, page after page. A sequence, a story, a confession. Eva had discovered the truth about the man who lived 2 doors down, the one who always volunteered at school, the one everyone trusted. He had hurt both of them, Eva and Lena, but Eva had tried to stop him. She had told Amelia, but Amelia had been too young, too scared, too silenced. And when Eva threatened to go public, the fire wasn't an accident. It was a warning. Eva didn't kill herself. She was murdered, and the system buried it. Amelia turned the drawings into a case file. It wasn't conventional. It wasn't legal, but it was truth. She approached a journalist, an old friend from school, someone she trusted. He listened, he cried, and then he published it. The article went viral. The Lost Girls of Blackridge. Survivors started coming forward. Lena, Jane, spoke for the first time in over 2 decades. One sentence: "I wasn't the only one." The man was arrested. The same man who'd lived 2 doors down. He was old now, frail. But monsters don't retire. They just wait for people to stop looking. Amelia testified. So did Lena. The courtroom was silent as they spoke. No objections. No cross-examination strong enough to shake the truth. The verdict? Guilty. 25 counts. He would die in prison. After the trial, Lena was transferred to a recovery center. She started speaking more, started painting. Amelia visited every weekend. One day, Lena gave her a gift, a notebook. Inside were drawings of hope. Amelia holding a baby, Eva laughing in the sun. A home rebuilt, brick by brick. It was the first time Amelia cried not out of pain, but out of release. Blackridge eventually shut down Wing C. Room 6A was sealed. No one else would live there. No more forgotten patients. No more silent screams. Just a plaque outside the door. It read, "In memory of those who waited to be believed." Amelia now teaches trauma-informed care to young nurses. She starts each class with a question. What does healing look like to you? And then she tells them about the woman who didn't speak, but told the truth louder than anyone ever had. She tells them about Lena. She tells them about Eva. She tells them about the basement, the fire, the drawing that cracked open a forgotten past, and the quiet girl in room 6A who saved her life. Sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from a single drawing, a memory brought to light, a truth finally faced. Not all stories end in peace, but some end in freedom, even if it comes 20 years late. If you were in Amelia's shoes, would you have gone into room 6A? Would you have wanted to remember? Let us know in the comments. And if this story moved you, subscribe to the White Coat Crimes, because the truth is never silent for long.